Hello again and welcome to Tips with Andrew. I am Andrew Sapiano. Thank you so much for joining me on this happy Thursday. We're almost there, yeah. And it's a Labor Day long weekend up here in Canada. Heck yeah, long weekend. Woohoo! I don't know really what that means at this point, right? But hey, any extra time that we get off work is always welcomed, whether or not it is expected. We love let's get real here. We love not being at work. So I hope you guys are ready for the weekend. I hope you're rocking out whatever this week had planned for you and you had planned for it. Quick update before we get started. doTERRA has launched a few new enrollment kits for if you're interested in getting your hands on essential oils now, or if you're interested in adding to your collection, now is definitely the time to do that. Geranium oil is 15% off until the end of the month. That one is actually called the Poor Man's Rose. It's almost good for anything. I love using it actually in my hair. I use it for my shampoo. I get some flakes from time to time, and I love the way that it does that. It has regenerating properties in it. Another update, I have launched a weight loss course for beginners. It is an online digital course for download. If you or somebody you know of is interested in getting access, definitely drop me a comment, send me a message, reach out to me, and we'll get you rocking and rolling. There's tons of cool stuff that comes along with the initial launch, and I'm super excited to have it out there in the world for you guys to receive and use it to benefit your lives. Today is actually, what is it? It's notebook day, right? So it's a day where you go back on your old notebooks, see what you had written, what kind of goals, hopes, dreams, ambitions you had for your life, or where you look to start a new journal, notebook, and put future goals, hopes, dreams, plans, ambitions into it. So that's where I wanted to come on and give some tips that help me journal. Journaling is a process that I go through. It's really a struggle that I go through, more often than not, because, I get it, right? We live very busy lives. We are on the go people. We don't always have time to incorporate extra stuff into our day. So that's why I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about things that help me get my thoughts and ideas down on paper, and hopefully they help you too. Hopefully you get some value out of them. Tip number 1, remember that it doesn't have to be on paper, right? This one is huge. Vlogging has become a huge thing of the, in the recent past, which is just video logging, right? In terms of, instead of writing it down on paper, because we don't always have the time in our days to take out a sheet of paper, find a pen, write down everything that's going on, and then, continue on with our day. But we do, more often than not, have time to pull out our phones, right? And just quickly, how I'm doing, right? What's going on with me? What's happening in my life? There's also, audio recording things that you could get, little devices in that regard that you could get to just keep in your pocket. I know there's some old school things that you could get. I don't know how relevant they still are to today, but like tape recorders are a huge thing. But I'm just talking about, little ways to incorporate, helping journaling throughout your day, helping get your thoughts down on paper. And that's it right there. We don't always have time to take out a pad of paper, to, find a pen, remember what we're saying, or in that specific instance, have the, ability to write it all down on paper. And that's one of the things that we journal about, because we don't want to trust our memory. We want to get life down on paper as it is, as it happens, not how we remember it later, because a lot of times we, skewer the details and we're not actually putting really what happened into it. We're putting what happened with a little bit mixture of our imagination, right? So that's where we need to get it right as it happens. And remember right off the bat, it doesn't have to be on paper always. It could definitely be in front of your camera. Also, it could be typing on a computer, right? If you get hand cramps, for me, I get hand cramps, a lot. That's why I can't really go for too long. But hand cramps are a thing, right? Arthritis, carpal tunnel, all those are real things, and those might deter you from wanting to journal, wanting to write stuff down on paper. And I get it, 100% I get it. That's why that we need to think of different ways that we can incorporate it, i.e. on your phone, on the computer, little recording device that you have, right? And these are little ways that you will very much appreciate yourself in the future, because that's really the way that you achieve things in your life. You first of all decide what you want, right? And you put that out there into the universe, and then you do the things, the actions, the daily disciplines over and over to make sure that you're on your course to going to where you need to be, right? And if you're not tracking your progress, you don't know A, if you're on the right track, or B, how much further you need to go, or if you're even doing what you need to do. So anytime you can get your thoughts out of your brain and onto some sort of device, phone, laptop, recorder, paper, or even an app. Actually, that's something that I really that I learned too, is that there's an app, and I laugh at myself, and I never thought about this before, but that's the saying, right? There's an app for that. Anything in the world, there's an app for that. So if you need help journaling, if you need a reminder, right, that it's time to journal, definitely think of an app. It'll send you a reminder on your phone. Water, definitely. Want to make sure that you're doing your water. Number 2, what do I have here? Oh, specific times. Yes. This is what actually this is funny. The tip is that it doesn't have to be a specific time. And I laugh at this one because everything that I hear, right? Wake up in the morning, do an immediate brain dump. Get all your thoughts on paper, because the first hour of the day is when your brain is really at its most functional, and that's when all of your great ideas come out. Also, I've heard journal at the end of the day. Give yourself a brain dump for what happened throughout the day, and just get all of your day down on paper. I've heard, bring your journal with you so that you can get stuff as it happens in real time, and you don't actually have to think about it at a different time of day. So I've heard legit arguments for morning, afternoon, and evening. So to say that there doesn't have to be a specific time is kind of an understatement, because if you talk to one person, right, they're going to argue that you need to do it in the morning. If you talk to another person, they're going to argue that you need to do it while it's happening. And if you talk to a third person, they're going to argue with you that you need to do it at night, and just make it, a daily brain dump. Right? So what I'm talking about in this instance is really find a time that works for you, right? If you can do it in the morning, do it in the morning. That's great. If you can do it in real time and you have the time, effort, energy, patience, all that stuff that goes along with doing it in real time, that would probably be your best case scenario, I guess, realistically, because, in the heat of the moment is when everything really happens. Now, if you're on like a sales call, right, you probably can't journal what's happening at the exact moment. You kind of give yourself jot notes, and then you go back later. If it works at night, that's the way that you want to do. I know that Tina really likes doing that at nighttime. That's sort of like a brain dump. But she's one of those people that she can really remember things a lot more vividly than I can. So for me, I really have a hard time vividly remembering what happened. So I kind of just, this is kind of what happened, and I guess I can fill in the blanks. But for her, she can really remember it. So an evening brain dump is actually really good for her, because then she can organize her whole day and plan it out that way. So, right? There's my arguments. I don't really have a specific time that works for me, right? I kind of do it in the morning. I like to, for me, what I do in the morning, I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for right off the bat. That way I can just put myself in a gratitude mentality for the rest of the day right off the bat. I do try and keep things or write down things. Like I said, I don't really have a great memory, so I try to write things down as they happen. And then also what I do is I do like to do the brain dump at the end of the day and just kind of, reassess what happened during my day, right? So for me, I'm kind of doing it all day. I don't have a specific time that works. I don't have a specific time that I can give you. You have to decide what works for you, whether it be morning, afternoon, evening. You figure it out, because that will allow you to be, the most effective, with your journaling process. Number 3, start small. I just mentioned, a whole bunch of things that happen, and I actually love that I put this tip right here. I didn't think I did any sort of reason to it, but it doesn't have to be on paper as the first one. It doesn't have to be time specific as the second one. Starting small is basically summing up those right there, right? You don't have to get it down on paper, nor do you have to be writing down all day, nor do you have to be cataloging everything that happened all day. And I can promise you that if you don't do this regularly, it is not going to be something that you can just incorporate into your day and just all of a sudden, start writing down everything that happens all the time. Because it is something that you need to incorporate. It is something that you need to be consciously aware of. And for this one, I would really just start with the 3 things that you're grateful for in the morning, right? Wake up, write down 3 things that you're grateful for in the morning. Another thing that I actually learned was, what was it? If you, how many ideas do you come up with on the daily basis, right? Any ideas that you're talking about. So if you wake up in the morning and put down 5 ideas on paper, right, over the course of the, if you don't, that's what, 25 ideas per week if you don't think on the weekends, right? That's a whole lot. What are we doing here? 200. So that's like 1,000 ideas a year that you're going to come up with. Now, all of those aren't going to be home runs. Probably half of those you'll never use. A third of those you'll probably maybe see later on in your life. A tenth of them might actually be something that you're willing to invest your time, effort, and energy into. And probably only 1 or 2 will be home run hitters, right? So that's where we want to put ideas on paper, because the law of averages, right? If you're putting 5 down every day on paper, the law of averages swings so far in your favor that you have to hit on one of those, because averages are a law for a reason, right? I love this in terms of a baseball reference, right? The greatest baseball player ever hit 300, which means that he missed 7 times out of 10, right? And he's considered the greatest player ever, right? So that's where the law of averages really work themselves out. As much as a player's doing really well, eventually he's going to have a really down stretch, and even vice versa. For as bad as somebody's doing, you're going to have a good stretch, because the law of averages just work itself out all the time. So start small. Just get a couple things down on paper, or just get a couple things, set in front of a camera, recorded, put on your app, and then maybe incorporate a little bit more over the day. It takes about 28 days to incorporate a new habit into your life, so you're going to need to start small to make sure that you can keep this habit going every day, and then maybe up it a little bit more. So today is actually notebook day, so we are talking tips, ways to help incorporate journaling into your life. Number 1, it doesn't have to be on paper. Number 2, does not have to be time specific. Number 3, start small. Number 4, try a different environment. I really liked reading this one, and so I had to incorporate it. A different environment just helps you see things differently. It helps you notice different things. It helps you refocus your attention, right? All those things are happening when you switch environments. If you're sitting at the table and you find that you can't write anything, right? And you go out on the balcony or the terrace, all of a sudden, right, you can write about the weather, you can write about how the sky looks, you can write about whether it's raining or not, you can write about how it makes you feel outside, right? There's a whole bunch of different things. You can write that you're not feeling any motivation to write. So that's where changing your environment, right, going from one place to a different place could actually be very beneficial in terms of, helping your mental block, right? Giving you a little different perspective, something different to write about. Because when we're talking about writing, right, we just want to write. We want to write at the first little bit. We want to write just for the sake of writing, right? Just to get in that habit of writing, putting thought down on paper. So if you're thinking, man, I can't get anything to write, and you start putting that down, and then you keep going with your thoughts, right? You just start small, change your environment. And if it doesn't help, right, if you have mental writer's block and you change your environment and it didn't help at all, definitely come back here and tell me that I was wrong and, that tip didn't work for you at all. And I would love to hear your story about that. Number 5, set a reminder. This one is huge, and I actually love using this tip all of the time because we set a reminder for everything that's important in our life, right? Wake up to go to work, right? We set an alarm. A timer on the oven when we're cooking so that our food doesn't burn. There's a timer on the dishwasher, right? As a cycle so that we don't overuse all that stuff. We set a timer when, we're putting gel in our hair or hair dye, right? Or all that sort of stuff. We set a timer, and you catch my drift, right? We set a timer or a reminder for everything, and even a reminder, right? We set a reminder for birthdays, for important days of the year, important deadlines, right? All that stuff gets reminded to us, right? So that's where set a reminder that you need to write something down on paper. And that's where I go back to start small, right? Even if it's just the fact that you remembered at your timer to put something down on paper, that's going to be amazing in itself, because that helps you that just helps you in terms of us as people, right? We're creatures of habit. So I love using this example. When my dad, he would be able to work or to wake up at the same time roughly every day because he'd been doing it for so long. So he didn't even really need a reminder or an alarm, because we are creatures of habit. So if we do things, we are always trying to do things in form of habit, because that makes it easier for us to function on a daily basis, right? We're not, if we were to focus on every single thing that we had to do, we wouldn't get very far. We'd actually be very much a headache and in bed. So that's where, once you set a reminder and you make it a habit and you keep it going consistently, you end up being a habit and you end up incorporating into your life without even thinking about it, because it's now become a habit of yours and you need to do it. My last tip, more than anything, is essential oils. I have a few blends here, actually. This one right here I love from doTERRA. It's called Thinker. And I like using this one because it's actually the children's blend. doTERRA made a whole line for just children. But, we can be children too as adults. You damn right we can. So that's why I really love using this one. I actually love the way that it's still perfect for, it's called a focus blend, right? So it's perfect for when you need help with that mental clarity. You need to just focus a little bit more, and you need to, really get your ideas in place. My other blend here is Passion. And Passion, this is what I love from doTERRA. You can tell basically what the oils are based off the name, right? So Passion. And then in terms of writing, right, when you need to just put a little bit more behind it, when you need to figure out something in your life, when you need to, get a little bit more encouragement, Passion, right? Passion blend, I love that. And I love the rollers, actually. Just roll it right on, your collar, the back of your neck, on your pulse points, right? Just have the aroma with you there. It's beautiful aroma. It's calming, relaxing, really intense focus. I love it. That's all I got for you for today. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I had some fun making it. Feel free to share this with your friends, a family member, perhaps somebody from your team that you feel needs to hear this. If you'd like to learn more about essential oils or how to get your hands on some of this cool stuff that I'm talking about, definitely drop me a comment, send me a message saying meet, and we'll get you rocking and rolling. Thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and an even better weekend. And I look very forward to talking to you again. I love you guys. Bye for now.